Hey, and welcome to the 13th entry of this series. The stage we're going to look at today is Wahoo World. This should be the only new stage I'll have to do before the new stage Skipper Pavilion comes out. So here obviously is a general box. I'll have a lot to point out about this stage in particular, but for now, I'm just going to focus on what's in the level, like what you actually play. So that's obviously a general box of flat 2 cubes. Here's the same, but it's a no paint. Only this one doesn't seem to be put in like a... Like you can get for yourself what position that is. There's a bunch of ink rails stretching this way. Go back before it breaks. Okay, let's go back to the left and see what we can find. This is the turf war map, so okay, there seems to be a bump car, a big one. 02. Over here. What pairing is this? Pink, blue. Okay. I don't think there's anything... Oh, by the way, this stage's internal name is, Carousel. Which should be obvious as to why it's called Carousel, because of the inner... The very center area, which I will go over in a moment. No, that's static, so that will just be in the FLD. This stage clearly takes a lot of inspiration, geometry-wise, from Humpback Pump Track. Yet no one will compare this to Blackbird Skate Park? Oh well. Anyway, this thing here. Because this platform and this entire center thing is moving, this will be a separate object. It will have something to do with the word carousel. Even those things inside will be part of either this thing here or like a separate object. And by this thing, I mean it could either just be these platforms moving and that down there, or this middle platform that isn't moving will be part of it. Part of this moving thing here with the extruding platforms and such. So, do be careful how you see this. Seems I've gone through everything though for this stage. Anyway, let's go in and check again what we missed before. I checked if Carousel, this place, has any aspects missing about it. Mainly it's the stuff I expected. So obviously we've gotten through every one of the props. Let's look at the internal areas that we can see at least. Yeah, both sides open up, seemingly. Put out, anyway. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Team B can access an area, Team A can't. I believe someone referenced a screenshot of this place to something that like Team B could do that Team A couldn't or something. I'm not seeing it here, so it must be some sort of weird thing that doesn't matter as much, but you know, it could be something. These walls could be separate, I think. Don't quote me on this. I think these are removed in ranked modes or something. If they're not, completely ignore me and I am spouting nonsense. But I think they are removed, therefore I haven't played a whole lot of Ranked, so I can't be 100% certain. When I played Ranked was when stages like Inkblot were in the rotation, but Wahoo World is a relatively new stage in comparison. So now what's remaining is all of the stuff in the background, which... And let me tell you, there's a lot of props related to Wahoo World in the background that they would have separated either in the FLD file or as separate files entirely. So, I believe the roller coaster is separate. Most of the attractions are separate. I believe like there was something like free fall and like a jet, which perfectly relates to that. There's also those flags moving over there, which already speak to themselves as to the fact they're blowing in the wind. That is enough in most cases to be considered a... It's enough in most cases to be considered a separate object, even within the FLD carousel file. So I'll try and get to as far to Team B's spawn as I possibly can. Obviously the Ferris wheel is and the merry-go-round over there are going to be separate in some ways. The vehicles over there are going to be separate. The background is so widely detailed for this place, but I can see why, and personally, this is one of my favorite stages aesthetically, because it perfectly encapsulates Splatoon's colourful nature. So let me just try and see as much as I can to do with Team B and what's related. So, yeah, that roller coaster, it's so huge. I believe that would jack up the file size if that was in the same... If that was in the same thing. Let's see. Oh, okay. It's there. There's there. Yeah, the merry-go-round is definitely separate somehow, along with the Ferris wheel. I can't really... Like, out there is very plain. I think that's just the water. The stage is so huge that, like, it requires me to flex because it's repeating stuff all the time. Because I have to, because it's so big and I have to travel long distances that I can't really say, oh, I'll get there quickly. Like again, if you could free fly out there, I'm sure you'd be able to see more. But you can see there's a roller coaster, merry-go-round, Ferris wheel, and that should be enough, like, to tell you all those things should be separate somehow, along with that free fall thing I mentioned, wherever that is. I think that's like, I think I saw it like here or something. I don't know. I'm gonna come back in and check. Face. Anyway, yeah, I think the jet there is separate. Obviously, the roller coaster is, the flags. The general boxes I mentioned which should be obvious even from here. The obvious middle floor, those will be LFT. Well, I don't see this being an LFT, but I definitely see this being either a separate object or an LFT, and the objects of general boxes will obviously be, you know, the same as all the other general boxes and general boxer paints. But the middle will definitely be an LFT because it's dynamic and moving. I believe that will be the case for like the merry-go-round and the Ferris wheel as well, because they're moving. Even if they're not necessarily like dynamic in that sense, because they're just background objects. I remember seeing like something to do with a falling attraction, and it was specifically referred to as free fall. If I don't catch it here, I'm gonna extract it and see where it could potentially be, the particular model I'm talking about. Anyway, I loaded up the prop after a long time, and it appears to be some sort of purple object in the background. Actually, I think that's it. That's it over there. That's the freefall thing. Okay. If that... okay. I see now. It looks like it's big. Yeah, okay, that makes sense why it's called freefall. Because it would go up and then it would go down. But yeah, that's the object I was talking about, apparently. That's also separate. It took me a while to realize what it was, actually. But yeah, that tower thing. I think the tower, the thinner part of it is in the stage, and that bit down the bottom. Yeah, see, it's moving. Okay, that would make sense. See? It's moving up very slowly, so because it's moving, it's a separate object entirely. That's referred to as freefall. I'm pretty sure I could sit here and watch it the whole time since I've got nothing else. Yeah, it's close to the middle now. But yeah, it would make sense that this bit here, this tower bit here that I'm pointing to with the reticle would be in the stage in FLD's Carousel 00, and that's a separate object entirely. It's just not very noticeable because it moves very slowly. I just want to see it drop. But yeah, there's like a jet coaster. I think the signboard that shows you when the floor is supposed to come out, which I think is referred to as bridge. That signboard apparently is also referred to as a separate object, so be mindful of that. Okay, now it's at the top. Come down. Yep. Okay. So that's what it does, and that took up like 1 minute and 30 seconds of looking at the stage. That thing in the middle, the floor down there, and these things are very obviously separate. And then there's LFT, or I think it's object, either LFT or object. I will clarify in text. Wall and wall side. I don't know what those are for, but obviously the fact they're separate does point to something. So anyway, let's see if we can notice some details. The sky's obviously the same as like Inkblot and as Inkblot, as Starforce main stage, sorry, etc. I think this being dynamic may possibly be a separate object, actually. Maybe that's what they mean by wall? I think that the signboard is a separate thing. I mentioned that, but like, just this technical thingamabob, the screen and all that. Yeah, I don't think I'm missing anything else, to be honest. There isn't much else to miss. Yeah, the balloons aren't moving, neither are the flags there, so they definitely would be in the thing normally. But yeah, I think that's it. There's the general boxes, the ink rails, and obviously all of the relevant props to the stage, including in the background, that are either moving or aren't. So yeah, I'm not sure about ranked modes here though, because I haven't really played a whole lot of ranked here. But the middle could be different. I don't think like the rotating ground would be any different, but like stuff like the walls I think would be different. So yeah, I think that's it. There's just the jet coaster up there. Yeah, I knew there was a roller coaster that was separate, but it's called jet coaster, so maybe that thing is just not even different at all. So let's watch them drive around in a circle as we pull out. Anyway, that for now. Keep in mind for now, while I'm recording this video, that is the last new stage that Splatoon 2 has to offer. In a couple of weeks, if not a week or something, I believe the new stage, which is officially localized as Skipper Pavilion, the reflective Japanese shrine map, that will come out, and I will look at that as well. And because they have officially stated that will be the last new map for Splatoon 2, I don't believe, well, they just said last stage. That could also mean they won't add any other old ones, which rip, because I really like the old stages that aren't included in this game. But, that being the last stage, that will be the last video that I will have to make for the series. Thank you, Captain Obvious, I reckon you're saying. So, see you next time. In a while. Well, it won't really be too much of a while. Until Skipper Pavilion, and then I will be done. So, see you then.